Property development in the UK. Guys, today I want to tell you the real stuff that goes on in property. I want to give you my honest review of what actually happens in my life. My name's Luigi Newton. I am 29 years old. I'm from Nottingham and I own a portfolio of HMOs. So let's get straight into it. So a question I get a lot is, how do you grow a portfolio of properties when you don't have much money? Now, there's a few ways which I've personally done it myself. It's basically working with other people and utilizing other people's money. So essentially, you want to team up with different investors and joint venture partners, and they'll basically fund the project, you do all the work, and then you split the profits 50-50. That's the way that I structure it, and that's actually allowed me to grow my portfolio because I only started out with £6,000, guys. So I didn't have much money at all when I was starting out. Another question I get is, why do I only invest in HMOs? Now guys, a HMO is a house of multiple occupants, so it's basically a shared accommodation, a shared house. Now the truth is, guys, I don't just invest in HMOs. I've also got a serviced accommodation property, like an Airbnb, that's doing really well. And I'm actually looking at buying some apartment blocks as well. So I'm really trying to scale up and step up what I'm doing. So I don't just invest in HMO. Now, the reason why I love HMOs are because they're very high cash flowing. So like if you take a normal property and you rent it to a family, you might be able to make, £400 a month, £500 if it's a good deal. But if you do a HMO, you're typically always going to make more than, say, £900 a month profit or £1,000 profit plus for the same kind of property. So when you start doing like 5 beds and 6 beds or 7 or 8 beds, obviously your profit margins go up majorly. So that's one of the reasons, guys. Now, HMOs, people think it can be very headachy. The truth is, they can be. They can be massively headachy if you don't have the right team. So one thing I recommend people to do is make sure that you don't self-manage. You don't manage the properties yourself. You have property managers that are very competent. They know what they're doing. They've got experience. You really need the right people to manage your properties. Also, guys, social housing is a bit of a game changer because when I started to get into social housing, I was on like my 10th property, and that eliminated all of the management, okay? Because the management of the properties is probably the most headachy thing. When you do social housing, you basically take a property and you lease it to the social housing provider, and they do all the tenant find, the managing, everything. So you can really, just get passive income. And that is what we want, guys. Passive income in property is real, it's possible. But I see passive income as you can only get it in 2 ways. First way, social housing. The second way is commercial property. Because what you're doing, guys, is you're leasing the property to a third party, okay? So it's the same with commercial. So say if you bought like an office building, you would lease it to, say, a call center company, for example, and they will take care of the maintenance, the bills, any ongoing issues. They deal with everything. So literally, you don't have to worry. You can just get paid every single month. So working professional HMOs can be great as well. But again, it's about having the right managers. So another question that I get a lot is, how do you find investors and people to basically invest in you and your projects? The best way, I personally think, is about showing your authentic self online. So just like we're doing right now, we're doing a YouTube video. You need to get YouTube, guys. You need to get on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, because really that's how you get seen. It's 2024. If you really want to get seen, that's going to get you the best results in terms of attracting the right people to you, because when you're putting yourself out there in an authentic way, people will actually gravitate towards you. So a lot of people ask me, how do you find investors, but they're not actually putting themselves out there and they're not actually requesting people to reach out to them. So whenever you're putting yourself out on social media, you need to basically say, guys, reach out to me if you want to speak with me, because ultimately you're creating a win-win situation for an investor or a joint venture partner. Because a lot of people, they might have, say, 100K, 150K, but they're in London or they're abroad and they can't really do anything good with those funds. So if they invest with you, if you know what you're doing, then it can work out much better for them. So you really are keeping their goals in mind, keeping what they want in mind, and that's the best thing to do. Another common question I get is, what is the first property investment that someone should make? So my answer to that is, I would personally recommend you guys to do a 4-bedroom HMO. So a 4-bed HMO can be very, very simple. So with a 4-bed HMO, what you can do is you can buy a 3-bedroom house, 3-bedroom property, convert the dining room into a bedroom, make it fully HMO compliant, and it can be very simple and smooth. And some of my 4-beds are some of my favorite properties, okay? These 4-bed HMOs, I actually love them. A lot of them are producing like £1,200. Even if you're making, £800, £900 profit a month, that's very, very good, guys, for your first investment. So buy something for cheap, spend little as possible on the property, but still make it very nice, and then rent it to working professionals, guys, because if you want to do social housing, then one thing to note is you have to meet the criteria. The criteria is you have to have 2 buy-to-let properties and HMO experience. So if you don't have that, then you need to do a working professional HMO. Now, a lot of areas, you don't even need a license for a 4-bed HMO. So it's much easier to do it. Now, of course, you need to make sure you're not buying in an Article 4 area, because then the whole game changes and you really do have to go through a lot more hurdles, guys. You're going to need to apply for planning permission, or you're going to need to buy an existing HMO that's already got a license and something called a certificate of lawfulness. Certificate of lawfulness is basically a planning document which says, yes, this property is a HMO. What is the best thing and worst thing about property development? So for me, guys, I'd say that the best thing about it is the passive income, and the income in general, like the profit, what you can make, can be completely life-changing. It's completely changed my life, and it was the best thing I ever did was buy my first property and keep on buying. Because what I've done is, guys, I've basically said to myself, buy in all markets. So during COVID, I was buying. During the interest rates increasing, around that time, I was buying. I'm still buying now. So I'm always buying properties, guys, and I think that is the best thing to do if you really want to grow your portfolio. Now, of course, if you're not starting out with loads of money, then, you're going to need to get creative. You're going to need to work with investors and joint venture partners. The best thing about it is definitely the profit what you can make. Point blank, period. So the worst thing about property development for myself is probably the stress of it, because when you're buying so many properties at once, like for example, right now I'm buying seven at once, and it can be stressful, but that's when your character comes into play. This is not me complaining and saying, oh, my life is stressful, where. At the end of the day, I'm strong. I'm mentally strong. I'm spiritually strong. And you have to be, guys, because if you're just going to crumble under pressure, then property is not for you anyway. But that's definitely the worst thing about it, is the stress levels of it. But if you can handle that, then it's no problem. So why is it actually stressful? Now, the reason why it's stressful is basically because in property, lots of things happen. There's lots of moving parts, especially when you're using mortgages, guys, because if I wasn't using mortgages and I was buying everything in cash and just not remortgaging, then yeah, it'd be way less stressful. That's one stress point, because basically the lenders, they want a lot. They want your arm and leg. They want everything from you. They want all your bank statements, your ID documents. They want you to fill out a load of paperwork. The solicitors and lenders, they just want a lot, guys, and it just becomes very time consuming. They also want you to sign something called a personal guarantee, which means if the deal messes up, if the deal flops, then basically you're personally liable and they'll come for your assets. So that is another thing which is just like annoying. What is my future plans in property? So for me, I want to scale up my business. LN Capital, I've been running it for 7 years now, and I've got a load of different companies. So all of my joint ventures, I do them in a separate limited company. LN Capital is kind of like a holding company. And basically, guys, my plan with it is to I want to get 40 properties by the end of this year, and I want to own an apartment block. It don't need to be a massive apartment block, but I do want to own an apartment block. So we're looking at some deals now. We're getting creative. We're looking at, working with 2 different partners, putting their funds together and buying an apartment block with it and just have a profit share. So that's one thing I'm doing. But also, guys, I want to get someone as an apprentice that's doing my role. So I've hired somebody and I really want to train him and basically just teach him the ropes, show him the ropes, teach him how I do things and how to find great deals, how to manage refurbs. So that's another one of my goals, is to systemize things so we can scale up further, because if I'm just trying to do everything myself, I can't really do it, guys, because there's just so much to property. There's so many moving parts, as we said. That's going to be exciting for me. That's one thing I want to do. And then also, guys, I want to help more people in property. I want to help more people get into it. I want to help people to actually get success in property. A lot of the mentees I've been working with are getting great results, and it's going really well, guys. It's fun and it gives me a different sense of purpose. I want to get some more luxury HMOs. So I've got quite a few like really nice HMOs, working professional ones. I love them. They look great. They last a long time. So I want to get more of those. I don't just want to do just social housing. I want to have a balanced portfolio. I also want to do some more commercial stuff as well. So buy some more commercial properties that I can rent and lease to different companies. So I've got a shop and then I've got an 8-bedroom HMO above it. And basically that shop rented out so quickly and we're getting a really good rent for it. We're getting like £650 a month to an accountancy firm. So that worked really well. So I want to do more like that, guys. But guys, another question I get is, should you buy properties just in your area, or should you have a portfolio which is all around the UK? I personally think if you live in an area which has got good property prices, so the prices are not like super high, then you should definitely utilize that and basically just keep on buying in that area, because it doesn't make sense for you to like venture out if your area has good prices. A lot of people said when I started out, you can't do HMOs in Nottingham because there's Article 4. Now the truth is, guys, what I do is typically I'll buy just outside of the Article 4. So it works perfectly for what I do. But if someone lives in London, then I would say you are going to need to kind of venture out. Unless you're starting out with like £1 million or like £600,000, you are going to need to venture out of London and basically either team up with somebody like myself, do some sort of joint venture with them, or you can literally do it yourself. So go to Nottingham, go to Leicester, go to Sheffield, go to Manchester. Those are some great areas, guys, and basically do deals there. So guys, on May the 15th at 7 p.m, we're actually hosting a free webinar, myself and Sean Davis. All you need to do is click on the link in my bio. It will take you to right here. Then you just click the top one. Property investing for beginners. May the 15th, 7 o'clock, we're going to be providing tons of value. We're going to be answering all your questions about how to get started in property. So all you need to do is register. It's free. It's a free masterclass with myself and Sean Davis. See you there. Guys, drop a comment below any more questions you've got and we'll do another Q&A like this.